Adventure Wars, episode 432. Woo! As always, I'm your host, Justin Baker, and as always, I'm joined by Viable Human Chris Saturn.
Hello, Justin.
And our producer, Guy.
Hey, I'm here too.
Hey,
You
hi,
are
Guy.
here, too. As far as housekeeping, we had internet issues last episode, so if things feel weird, that might be still going on, or it might not. I don't know. We'd have no way of knowing. There's no way to tell.
I can't
Also,
predict the future.
Also, this is part 2.
Yeah.
And so it is not only a continuation of the last episode, but it's also our second episode of the evening.
Yeah.
And the last episode ran a little long.
2
So
hours
if in the middle of
and
this
10 minutes,
episode it starts
including
sounding
the-
like the last episode, really, it was intentional. We went back to 1955.
My week.
Yes, sir.
I played a couple games. I've been playing Star Wars Force Unleashed, which
Is that the Wii
Piran,
game?
I think it was on Wii, but it was 360, I think. Piran from our Discord bought it for me for my birthday. It was very nice.
that's very nice.
Oh, that's very
kind of
nice.
him.
Yeah.
And they said it was their favorite, Star Wars game, and I started playing it, and it's pretty darn fun. I've had other stuff on my plate, but it's a pretty good time. If it really, like, you're immediately like blowing shit up with the Force, so there's no like lead up, and it opens with like you're just Darth Vader boomeranging your fucking lightsaber into like 100 Wookiees. And I was like, yeah, I
Fucking
like this.
Wookiees.
This is good. I love this. I want to do more of this. And so it was pretty fun. I've also been going down a weird rabbit hole of looking for RTSs,
Yeah.
and I get annoyed at the RTS genre because I like indie games. I want to support indie games. I want to buy more indie games.
Right.
And
yeah.
the RTS genre is not one that is chock full in the indie space.
I think,
Well, RTS as a genre is pretty like sparse. In
general.
anything. Like probably the largest RTS at this point is what, like 10 years old, 15 years old
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah.
well, I think a lot of it is how finely tuned the multiplayer has to be.
Yes.
So it's a very particular kind of thing.
I picked an indie game called Rusted Warfare, and visually
Sounds like a weird sexual maneuver.
It does. Yeah.
What?
Don't ask, because he'll tell
Gave
you.
him the old rusted
Don't.
warfare.
What's a rusted warfare there?
Don't ask.
If you have to ask, you won't understand.
So it
It's like the angry pirate.
God damn it. Fuck. Tell you about this game. It's
I'm not
$5. It looks like it would run on, I think, anything. I think a Pentium 3 would run this game.
Is this the one you were saying had the skin for StarCraft?
Yeah, there are. It's got
yeah.
tons of workshop support. It's got StarCraft and
really
Warcraft skins. It's got Alien versus Predator skins. It's got a bunch of cool mods for it that do meaningfully change the gameplay. They're not just skins.
Yeah.
Like the StarCraft one adds a second resource because the game traditionally only has one resource. And what I love about this game is that there's two things that I adore. One, you can zoom the map all the way out to see the whole map at once. And it turns your units into little color-coded icons, which is really nice. And you can manipulate your stuff from that zoom level,
Nice.
which I really love because sometimes I struggle to get around the battlefield to everywhere I need to be to make things happen. But then it also allows you to queue any action by holding
Nice.
shift.
Oh,
So
that's
you
always
can
nice.
queue attack moves. You can queue anything you want.
Very
You
nice.
can also click on groups of buildings and hit like the upgrade button, and it will upgrade all of them at once.
Nice.
It's just these little like shortcuts
Yeah.
that RTSs over the years have introduced in places, but then it doesn't seem to stick with the genre.
Yeah.
And so this is one where like I can queue up build orders. So I can click a build unit and then shift and then build multiple things in sequences.
Nice.
And so I can plan out huge stretches of the match ahead of time. And as long as I keep my resources on par, it'll all just, my plan will unfold, right?
Yeah.
And I really, really like that a lot. Like I only played a couple skirmishes of it because I picked it up earlier today, and it was so nice and so refreshing. It runs really well. It's got multiplayer. It's got tons of mod support. I'm very excited about this game. It is very,
nice.
very fun. And for $4.99, like, I mean, shit, I've already gotten 2 hours of enjoyment out of it. So I've gotten my money's worth at this point. The rest is just gravy. It does have a terrible name. which is Rusted Warfare.
I apologize to the authors of that game for making that joke earlier. Obviously, I haven't played your game. It's probably great. It's just that was the first thing I thought of, and yeah.
And it's it's real fun. It's just good. I like it a lot. I've had a good time with it. I need to spend more time with it, but
Nice.
it's been real fun. What about you, Saturn?
So I had enough Microsoft rewards points to cash in $200 fake dollars
Oh wow.
in
Okay. all
Xbox
right.
money, and so I bought some Xbox games, and I bought several of them. I had to pre-order Alan Wake and I don't remember what else. So anyway, I picked up a few of them. I finally bought Infernax, which went off of Game Pass at some point, and I wanted to own it. So I bought that on there, and it has had several updates since the last time I looked at it, including the 2-player mode that they were talking about, which I don't have a second person here, so I couldn't try it. But when you start the game, there is a both players as one, or one player as both characters mode now,
Oh.
where you can change characters at will, kind of like in Bloodstained Curse of the Moon, or maybe like the Ninja Turtles games, where you can just select which one you want to play at any given moment.
Yeah. Or
which
the first Ninja Turtles.
Yeah,
game.
the first Ninja, the good one. So it was
slow down. Hold on.
Hey,
Just throw that one out there. Holy shit.
that's
Yeah.
a hot take on so many
Shots
levels.
fired.
I know, right? Anyway, but no, it's fun. I'm digging it. They did add some more achievements too, so it gave me a reason to go back to it some more.
Yeah.
Including they added an achievement for my favorite ending that was always in the game, which is the
Where
one
you just get right back on the fucking boat.
exactly where you go right back on the boat. I love that so much.
Tis a silly place.
But it's so good. It's still such a good game. Going back to it, I am reminded of how much fun I had with it the first time.
I keep
Still
feeling
just
the urge to
highly
pick it
recommend
back up for
Oh,
sure.
yeah, it's so fun. Also on Xbox, I picked up the first Bayonetta, which I think you mentioned in the last episode.
Yes.
But it's still Bayonetta. It's they upgraded it for Xbox One, I think. But it it still plays like the first Bayonetta, so it's fine.
Yeah.
It's just in HD now. Or
The
HD.
family friendly for girls game, right?
Yeah, exactly. Fun for all ages that like to look at TNA.
I'm an age and it's fun for me, so
Perfect.
Right, but no, it's a fun game. I still enjoy Bayonetta. It's that goofy, ridiculous, flash action. I don't know what genre they
hey.
call it.
yeah.
Where it's more about style than it is about skill.
yeah.
And I dig on it. It's
that
fun.
kind of Devil May Cry energy.
Oh, that kind
Exactly.
of flash.
Yes. Also,
Sexual episode so far. Lots
right?
of sexting that's happening.
also, I got Infinity's Trash.
Oh, how is Infinity's trash?
I don't know. Haven't gotten past the title screen. It looked too bad.
Oh no.
I bought it. I loaded it up. It kind of feels like it's a Flash game, and then I turned it off. But maybe once I start the game, it'll be better. But I didn't have time because of the topic. I wanted to finish our actual game.
Saturn,
Why
I
did you
know
purchase this game?
That, yeah, I, was
I
about to
didn't
say,
pay money for it. I paid fake money for
But
it.
you could have
Again.
bought other things with that fake money.
Right.
I did. I bought like 8 games with it.
You know, like I know, like you don't have to buy every Dragon Quest game.
Don't I?
Like you don't have to. Like if
Really?
you didn't, no one would know.
They might.
No, they wouldn't.
Saturn would know.
What if the Dragon Quest police show up at my house and start
Saturn, they
counting
live
my
in
slimes?
Japan. They're not going to take a
Oh.
plane just to arrest you.
Dragon Quest Police is the fascist spinoff.
First of all,
Jesus
the Dragon Quest fans, they can just cast Zoom. They don't have to worry about the ocean.
Well, but they're going to be indoors at the time.
Oh yeah, they'll just hit their head on the ceiling. No, I initial impressions are not great. I'll say that, but I haven't actually started the game, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not excited. I'll say that.
Hey, never judge a game by its title screen, damn it.
He just did.
I
Just
did,
now.
very much so. I also judged one of Justin's games just by the title, so clearly I'm not.
What is that? Some kind of sex thing that you're
I'm not the
doing over
person to
there?
ask to review a
Rusted
game.
Warfare and whatever's.
So, Guy, what have you been playing?
Starfield. I finally, since I beat Sea of Stars and had a break, I was like, hey, let me do this
game.
Yeah, let me play this Starfield game. See how
you can only play RPGs with star in the title.
Yeah, no, that's how it goes.
So far,
Next,
this
I'm
one,
going to go
right,
on
the theme.
to Mario
Star
RPG.
Ocean. Oh, that also has star in the title.
Yeah,
Yep.
see, I did it.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, no, it's all right. I'm still like in the first tutorial. Speaking of fascists, I decided I was going to go like full bootlicker, right?
Oh God.
Because like the
It's a
first
weird
thing,
episode.
the
Shit.
I don't know. You go to like the United Colonies or whatever, and they're like they're introducing you to like one of the people, and he's like, "Hey, you want to sign up?" And I'm like, "Sure, let's go."
Oh, all right.
Without any questions, just learn their their history or whatnot, and decide that yeah, I want to be part of your like citizen military, so I can get citizenship. Sure. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I don't know. At the beginning, I guess you do like the very first mission or whatever, and then you get to the first like home planet or whatnot. And then I just went like it's a who makes the game?
Bethesda.
Yeah, it's a Bethesda game. So I went and fucked off to like random planets for a while for like 2 or 3 hours, and so I'm like 4 hours into the game and like barely into the story. So that kind of tracks.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm not very familiar with these Bethesda games, but they're RPGs. So how many slimes have you encountered so far?
A few, I guess, maybe.
Oh, good.
Well,
then
in a way, human bodies are full of various slimes and ichors.
Exactly.
So,
Or you just swing by a fast food joint and get some pink slime.
Oh yeah, you get like body damage instead of fall damage. I mean, you also get fall damage, but you also like break your legs and have hemorrhaging and shit.
I had like a fucking respiratory infection for like 2 in-game weeks that I couldn't figure out how to. So I'm playing a stealth character, so I'd be sneaking, and my character would go in the middle of me sneaking, and they'd fucking see me. I couldn't figure out how to heal it for the long. I finally figured it out, but
I just like to imagine that your character is also chain smoking, and you're like, I can't figure out why it won't stop coughing all the time.
No, that'd be Kristen's character. That's a very specific joke. Sorry.
that is a very strangely specific in-person library D&D game joke. In jokes. If you were at our last D&D game that I ran at my public library, then you'll get that reference.
Excuse me.
Heyo.
It was run in the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, but it's for the library. I'm running it for the
right.
library. Yeah, I guess Saturn's out of the loop on this. I ran a 9-person D&D game in the nearby town's Chamber of Commerce. It was pretty cool.
Oh, that's
I'm going to do it again in a couple weeks.
It'll be good. I'm excited about it. So anyway, but no, Starfield's been great.
That's good.
News time.
Yeah.
Red vs. Blue has been removed from YouTube for why? Who knows? Dumb decisions, I think.
They said that they were not making enough money off of it.
What,
Were they
excuse me?
making money off of it in the first place?
They said the YouTube monetization model does not meet their current business needs.
So let me get this straight. They're not making new videos
Right.
in that
I
series.
don't think so anyway. I don't know.
So,
But they removed all the old ones.
but when they're removed, they will make 0 money.
That's my understanding, yes.
I don't.
I don't get it either. My guess is that they're in the process of some sort of exclusivity deal with some
Monetizing
other
it
streaming
somewhere.
service.
Yeah.
And that's
my
going to make
guess.
them more money than what they were making off of YouTube.
Yeah, I don't know. I never really like I've seen Red versus Blue, but I've never really like watched it.
Those first 7 or 8 little web shorts were great. I really enjoyed those first few. And then somebody told me a year or two later, oh, there was a second season, and I just never looked at it.
Yeah,
I think there were multiple seasons.
that weird machinima era when that was a thing.
Right.
Modders have found partial character data for incomplete characters in Marvel vs. Capcom 3 data.
Yeah, Doc Octopus was found in there.
Oh man, Doc Ock would have been cool.
Right? And
Been a fun one.
There had been an interview many years ago where they said they were trying to put Doc Ock in the game, and then that was the last anybody heard of it, so everybody thought it like fell apart at the planning stage or the negotiation with Marvel. But No, they found at least a name and a portrait in there, but I think that's all they found.
I just had a moment where I was like, man, I wish they'd do another Marvel vs. Capcom because I forgot about Infinity. And then my next thought was,
Yeah.
never mind, we're good. With three's
Yeah.
enough. We got
No,
plenty.
yeah, I
Plenty
guess
we got
that's
plenty of
done.
those.
Yeah.
John Riccitiello retires from Unity after debacle.
Oh, no.
You know the debacle. You know the one. The Unity
Yeah.
one.
We
where
talked
they were
about it a
gonna
couple
fuck
episodes
everyone.
ago.
Yeah, that whole thing is going on.
Yeah, and I'm sure he will take his golden parachute and land safely at another company that he can fuck to death.
Yeah. Alien Hominid and sequel are getting Switch ports. They're also getting enhanced versions coming to Steam. I think they're also
nice.
coming to Steam.
Probably other consoles then.
Which I'm mildly interested in. Alien Hominid was one of those things where, like, I liked it, but it just kind of wasn't enough game to really be something I put a lot of time into.
Yeah, I'd picked it up on GameCube, but I think I'd gotten it for like $15 or $20.
Yeah.
On GameCube. I had some fun with it at that price range. I don't know that I would have had more than that out of it, but
Yeah. PS5 Slim announced, Slim being used liberally here. It includes an optional detachable optical drive.
yeah, I think
And-
it's like 75% of the size of a normal PS5.
Somehow they made it just as ugly. Like,
Yeah,
who's
it looks
who's
identical.
doing? Fix it. Fix the way it looks.
No, you don't understand. They like that part.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
I do not understand. It's ugly as shit. Now it looks asymmetrical in ugly as shit. I don't get it, man.
Yeah, the optical drive can be added on to the digital only version now, which is nice. I like that.
Yeah, sure.
And it comes with a side panel plate to add it in there, so it's not just dangling off the side of your system.
Right.
And it makes it look like your system has a tumor.
What I don't get is in this era, the Blu-ray disc drive has to be one of the cheapest components in that thing.
Yeah, I think it's going to be $100 for the optional optical drive.
Additionally, I believe we have information that says that they're not even using high-end Blu-ray drives for these devices, which is why some of them are so loud.
They are pretty fucking loud, I can say that.
So I don't really fucking understand why they I mean, let me phrase it differently. I know exactly why they want to veer us away from the disc drive, but fuck them for it.
Yeah,
Let's just put that out
Justin, it says right on the marketing for the PS5 Slim that it's an Ultra HD Blu-ray drive.
Oh, right. Ultra HD. What are they going to call it after Ultra HD is the old term? They're going to call it Mega HD? Where are we going with this?
Quadra HD.
Just give us the fucking resolution. People understand numbers.
People do
I
not
see you've played
understand
Knifey
numbers.
Spoony before.
The PlayStation Portal has already sold out at some Japanese retailers, and people think this is news. But let me tell you why it's not. Because we don't know how many they took pre-orders for. We don't
There
know
could be
the
7.
number. Yeah, they're like, oh, we sold out of all 12 of them. Like, we don't.
Right. We don't know the number.
And someone brought up this great point in the Discord after this news, in air quotes, news dropped. The Wii U sold out when it launched too.
Right? Exactly.
Just putting it out there.
Yeah.
That fucker did sell out. It was hard to find for that holiday season.
And someone at Sony Japan, in an interview about this, said that they would consider the current sales data for the PS Portal in Japan to be comparable to the Vita, which the Vita did very well in Japan, but we still don't know what the hell that's supposed to mean.
yeah, I don't know, man.
Because it's still some time from launch. We don't know what the sales numbers for Vita was like this far away from launch.
Yeah. But hey, some good news from Sony. They are launching the ability to stream PS5 games to
Yay.
PS5s. They didn't have
Oh.
that already?
No, they did
This
not.
was not a thing.
No, game streaming on PS5 was previously limited to just PlayStation 3 games.
I didn't buy into Sony this generation. What the fuck is happening over there? Like, has anyone checked on them? Are they
So-
okay?
So they are finally adding the ability to stream PS5 games, because before you could stream PS3 games to either a PS4 or PS5.
Yeah.
And now you can also stream your PS5 games, but only to your PS5. If you have a PS4 or a PS Vita, sorry, no, you have to have a PS5 to stream your PS5 games. And so far they are saying that it is in beta, but it will likely remain PS5 exclusive because you have to have a DualSense to play PS5 games, despite the fact that you can stream your PS5 to your PS4 and it
Yes.
works fine. But ignore that. Don't worry about that.
Best Buy is reportedly ending physical media sales in early 2024. I can't say that's a shocking notion. I also don't know if I fully believe it.
I could see it.
I could see him really limiting it down.
I could see them going to online only at the very least.
No. The report is that they're going to stop selling physical media online as well. They're exiting the space completely.
That I don't know that I buy that.
No, I believe it.
I don't know that I best buy that.
Oh my God! Why?
That one's for
Get out!
Guy.
That was the worst.
Episode over. No.
Yeah, I could see it happening. If you've been to a Best Buy lately, you can already see the writing on the wall where they're decreasing what games they carry, and they're putting more and more space to just digital product cards where you just buy the card and get a product key. It upsets me. I don't like the shift away from physical media because it also means a shift away from ownership. And until internationally we start seeing laws that give us actual ownership of digital media, I don't want to be forced into a digital world. I don't like it.
Well, hey, maybe we can just pass some laws that increase consumer rights over digital goods that have been legally purchased.
Our hope is in Europe.
Then maybe it would rain donuts and the moon would be made of cheese. And
Yeah,
we could all live forever.
At this point, I just hope that the European Union does something because they seem to be the only ones that care about any consumer rights anymore.
Yeah.
And then we have to further hope that their regulation trickles down to the rest of us and the rest of the world.
Masahiro Sakura and Game Master Arno are teaming up for a crossover YouTube series. I'm excited for this. It'll be fun.
Looks like it'll be fun.
This Game Center, I assume it's for the game, the new retro game thing. Aren't they doing a new retro game master thing?
Well, they're doing the compilation.
Yeah.
But I think this is an unrelated thing. I think this is just Sakurai wanted to do some game mastery stuff because he's been doing his YouTube channel lately.
Yeah.
And I guess he is branching out to bring in Areno.
He always looks so frail. Every time I see Sakurai, I'm like, does he need some iron, or like is he okay?
It's because somewhere in an attic is a portrait of him getting older.
It's just every time I see him, I'm like, please eat a meal and take a nap. You look so frail,
right,
buddy? I know you're working hard on Smash. We all love you for it, but take a break, dude.
He looks far too young for his age, especially considering he looked older when he was younger.
Yeah,
he's got a Benjamin Button thing going on there.
Microsoft has closed their deal for Activision Blizzard King for $68.7 billion.
Thank God.
Yeah, I'm glad that we don't have to hear about it in the news anymore. I'm not a fan of all these massive consolidations, but I feel like less companies in control of Bobby Kotick is better.
I feel like I was talking to a guy about it in the Discord today where he was like, good, I can play Blizzard games again, guilt-free. And I was
less guilt.
I was like, man, where the fuck have we gone? That Microsoft is the moral... Now, here's the thing. Hold on.
Yeah.
Microsoft is doing nothing different. The Microsoft we all fucking hated in the 90s and 2000s. They're the
same course.
They're doing the exact same shit they've always done, but everyone else is so much fucking worse that we're like, thank God it's Microsoft. Oh,
right.
Thank God. Like,
it's
what
awful.
where the fuck are we, man?
Right? You remember when Linux fans used to call them Microshaft and always put the $sign instead of the S?
Oh, yeah. I remember when I do that still. I think it's because I was such a Linux fan for so long, all the way back to high school that we fucking hated Microsoft.
Oh yeah,
hated Microsoft, and they're doing nothing. Nothing has changed. No. Exact same company doing the exact same shit. And we're just like, oh, thank goodness Microsoft owns that now.
Yeah, no, I was saying earlier, like the best case scenario at this point is the FTC continues doing what they're doing and sues them like Amazon and breaks them up, and then Bobby Kotick's gone and they're independent. Great.
Right. Yeah.
Like
I did the math. I did the math earlier. The $68.7 billion they spent on Activision. If you take the average U.S. salary, that would be the salary of 1,164,407 people in this country.
God damn, that's a lot of Candy Crush dollars, man. Holy shit.
Yeah.
I wonder. It's sometimes I try to give myself perspective. If for whatever reason King wasn't part of that deal, how much that number would drop?
I think almost in half.
It would have to be. It would have to be. And finally, Nintendo sold one new Wii U unit in the year 2023.
Is that why Saturn
we
has
know
two?
Sir, my second one was refurbished. Thank you.
How the fuck do you even notice this data? Like someone was like, "Oh, let me check Wii U sales."
I assume somebody just got like the NPD reports or something that just lists all the consoles, and for some reason, way down at the bottom, Wii U showed up
Some
again.
back ass woods still
Right.
open despite everything. Kmart that doesn't know the war ended still selling Wii U's.
Yeah, I probably told this story on the show before, but one time a friend of mine who is a big fan of casinos, he brought me up to Oklahoma to where the casinos are, and he decided he wanted to go from Windstar to Choctaw, which they're a pretty good distance. You have to drive a bit through Oklahoma or back through Texas to get between them. And so as we're going between them, we're going through these like cities that barely show up on the map, these very, very small towns. And we drive through this one, and they have a store that's movies and tanning. and so we were like, we have to figure out what movies and tanning is, and it's exactly what it says on the tin. It's a rental store that is also a tanning salon.
Yep.
And
our rental store that is also a pizza place and thrift store just closed. So I'm familiar with the business plan of these places.
so we go in there, and they have this whole section, and this is in, I want to say 2015, so like 8 years ago, give or take.
Yeah.
They have this whole section of brand new, unopened Dreamcast games and accessories. Like, not a small section. It's like 8 foot wide.
Why?
I don't know, but they're all still full retail price.
Why? God. There are. I pass through, living where I live, a lot of these podunk towns. There's a town near me called Nickel, and I think it's just a graveyard. I drive through the town. There's nothing else there. There's just one big graveyard, and I'm like, did everyone die? And then I'm like, if they all died, who buried them all? Because they're all is there one corpse in the back of the graveyard with a shovel? And I'm like, somewhere this little shitty town has one of these like secret treasure troves of like unsold shit. Like I'm always looking for it, but it's always just gross, nasty stuff.
Yeah.
Which brings us to our topic.
Speaking of gross nasty,
I feel like this game is the opposite of gross nasty stuff.
It's literally the opposite.
Oh no, there's some gross nasty bits, but it's.
I guess at the very end.
You get a little bit of body horror stuff going on.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
We're talking Sea of Stars Part 2.
Yes.
For people that didn't listen to our first part, that's weird. But there will be lots of spoilers for the
Hey,
game.
warning, spoilers ahead, including those ones we just kind of hinted at a second ago.
Also, I am going to give an extreme ultimate final spoiler warning for people who have rolled the credits on the game but have not done what else the game has to offer.
That's when I get to turn off my recording and just walk away, right?
That's it. Because I know a lot of people in the Discord, as far as I know, I'm one of the only people in the little Sea of Stars thread we have that has gotten the true ending.
Yeah.
Or the final ending or the second ending, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
working
right.
on it.
See,
because Guy has
the
issues with
complete
true ending.
ending.
And I agree. The phrase "true ending" feels a little like, well, you didn't really finish the game.
Right, you didn't
But-
get the true ending.
That's I followed a lot of guides for some of it. That's what all the guides call it. So it's just the nomenclature in my head.
I think it's because there were a couple of indie games that used that terminology within the game.
Yeah.
And it kind of popularized it.
Yeah. Now I do agree that it is the better ending. So in a way, I guess it's the true ending. But we'll get to all that. So
I hope
spoilers
it
for
is.
Sea of Stars. If you've rolled credits one time, I will warn you before we start the stuff for the second section there.
I
leading to the
rolled
end
credits
of it.
about 45 minutes before we started recording tonight.
So we talked about all the mechanics last episode, so you should be
Yes.
familiar with them. So let's talk characters, NPCs, and then we'll jump right into the plot.
Yes.
Because we need to get some pronunciations correct first, I
And
think.
and some of this I wrote way early in the game, and you have not touched it all. So
No,
I,
I've left it all as you wrote it.
Oh no,
It's all there.
some of it is incorrect.
So, playable characters. You start off with Valir and Zale. They're your heroes, the Solstice Warriors.
I've been calling her Valaire.
Valaire.
I've been
Or
going with
Valir.
Valir.
Okay.
Well, that's 2v1, so we win.
All right.
Valiers have it. You have
'Cause
Garl.
Valir makes me think of veneer.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
You have Garl, their erstwhile companion, who is not a Solstice warrior, and the game very much reminds you of that repeatedly, that
Yes.
he's not a Solstice warrior, and he sucks and is dumb and normal. And it's always wanting to tell you that.
They constantly tell you he is warrior cook
Yes.
or warrior chef. I think it's warrior cook.
Warrior cook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have Sarai, who is the ninja and part-time pirate captain. who's
That's
the-
another name I couldn't decide how I wanted to pronounce.
Yeah, well, I was saying Sarai because there's the
Same
umlaut
here.
over the I, but
Yeah.
the umlaut means you pronounce the letter, I think.
I don't know.
I was
So I
going
think
with
it's-
Sarai because it seemed cool.
So I think it is Sarai because the umlaut, I believe you pronounce the name of the letter. I could be totally wrong. Oh, but English doesn't have a lot of umlauts in it, so
Yeah,
there's not
it
a lot
really
of...
doesn't. There's a lot of non-English characters in this game, and it
Yeah.
confuses my dumb American head.
You have Rashawn, who is the archivist, the alchemist.
This is where some mild spoilers start.
Yeah. And then you have Beast. Beast? I've been
I was
calling...
going with best.
I was also going with
Best.
best because
Well,
he's the
I
best.
figure like B apostrophe ST to me sounds like you pronounce the B, like just as a B, and then it makes sense because he's like a beast of a physical character.
Well, I think
Yeah,
the
and that-
umlauts would make it you pronounce the B. I think no umlauts.
there's no
means it's
umlauts,
just buh, so it'd be bust. I've been calling him best because bust sound. There's no vowels in his name.
You know, I might actually retroactively go with Guy here
Yeah.
because the apostrophe implies that there could be some missing letters there, like in a contraction.
Okay.
And if we're pronouncing it beast as in like long B, that also could be removing the E and the A from the word beast.
It
So
could just be
I
removing the
like
E
that.
from the
It's
word
cute.
best.
It could be because he is the best. He's certainly better than Garl.
I think we can all agree that the actual
yeah,
name is
yeah.
Bust, but
Yeah,
none
it's
of us
Bust.
want to call him that because that's weird.
Yeah.
But he is a fart in a glass tube, which I don't know who wrote that, but that's the description that is written here for him.
I don't remember writing that.
Just going back real quick, like the name DeAndre is D apostrophe Andre.
True. Yeah, that's true.
That's true. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
So anyway, go
That
ahead.
does make sense. I like
I
that.
won't deny that you have evidence. Still not going to call him Beast, though.
Oh, so you're one of those people.
Yeah. I am today. NPCs, you have Headmaster Moraine, who Saturn just wrote old.
Yes.
You have Brewgraves and Erlina, which are the older, cooler Solstice Warriors that were the Solstice Warriors before you came along and became Solstice Warriors. You have Teeks, who is the traveling historian that learns stories and tells them to you at your campfire.
Yep.
You have 1, 2, 3, and 4, which are the first half of the game, kind of chapter 1 bad guys.
Right.
You have the various dwellers, which are the otherworldly monster-like entities that inhabit the game in various portions that you have to fight.
Yep.
And then finally you have the Fleshmancer, who is the big alluded-to bad guy, and it eventually becomes the main villain of the plot.
And how do you pronounce his name, Justin?
A Forel? That's how
That's
I've
what
been
I was
saying
going
it.
with too. Yeah.
A Forel. And right off the bat, I want to mention that it's difficult in this game because almost every single character has multiple names.
Yeah. Or
at the-
titles to go
or
with their
titles,
names.
designations. Like they've all got multiple things, and then the ones that don't gain them later.
Yeah. Yeah,
And-
even Valer and Zale start getting called other names as you get closer to the end.
Solar and Luana or
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like
yeah.
that. Something like that. And so and characters go in and out of these different names all the time.
Yeah.
So it is kind of a struggle to remember. Like I forgot Valir's name so many times in the game. Fucking totally forgot it. And so it's kind of difficult to keep it all straight. So if we get
My player
weird with it-
characters, the only one I kept forgetting was Rashawn. I kept wanting to add a K in his name somewhere.
Rashank.
And I kept wanting to make him Rashak or Rakan
Yeah.
or something, and none of it was correct, and I'd have to open up the menu and look at his name again.
And Rashawn has the most names.
Yes.
He's the archivist, he's the alchemist, he's the great
Right.
bird, he's got at
Great
least
eagle.
a couple other, the great eagle, excuse me. He's got at least a couple more. There's a lot of them.
Yes.
So let's talk plot. The game opens on kind of an early prologue section where we find our child versions of our adventurers. You know, Zale, Valir, and Garl.
Well, first it starts in media res,
Yeah.
where they're exploring an area going towards Elder Mist.
Yeah, so I'm
and
talking
then-
about the Forbidden Cave.
Oh,
yeah,
before
but
that.
they're like fully grown up, dude.
Yeah, you start with them grown up, going to Elder Mist, and then they find a campsite, and there's somebody coming, and then suddenly
and
it
then
flashes back to when they are kids.
So it was
And
2
they're like,
weeks
"Oh
and
yeah, poor
35
Garl," and I
hours
was like,
ago.
"Oh, he's gonna die in this prologue."
Yes.
Right?
Yes, that is right. I forgot about that. And that's
Yeah.
when they remember
Yeah,
the Garl stuff,
yeah,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah,
yeah,
Okay. And you see Garl losing his eye.
yeah.
correct, yeah.
Okay. And
Which
then
again,
we cut-
going back to the last episode, where we were talking about how it's like so wholesome. Like even him losing his eye after that, I was like, it's still a wholesome game. It was cute. I don't know.
Right.
it
It's-
was. Go ahead.
Now, Garl is an oddly optimistic character.
Yeah.
He
He's
does
He's a
not
very
seem,
Ted Lasso character.
Yeah, he does not seem to react to any of the negative impetus in his life, and he does not learn any lessons any time that he does have to face consequences from his needless optimism. It's strange.
In the first half of the game, Garl was far and away my favorite character.
Oh,
Valir and Zale just kind of had nothing going on.
I did not care for Garl ever.
They were just like there. You know,
My
They didn't do
only
much.
complaint with Valer and Zale in the first half of the game is how they would react to everything Garl said.
Mhm.
Because no matter what he said, no matter how lame or naive or dumb he said, they would both immediately go, "Ha ha! You're right about everything, Garl," and
I-
it drove me insane.
I loved Garl, man. He's just
I did not care for
indomitable.
Garl.
I really enjoyed him. I enjoyed his arc, and the post game content made me like him even more. I greatly enjoyed Garl a lot.
Yeah, I like Garl a lot too. I found him to be sincere. Like when I got the idea of the game as a whole being like wholesome and earnest, then Garl seemed less grating, I guess.
I found him annoyingly optimistic throughout. I was willing to put up with him after a little bit just because everybody seemed to love him so much that I was like, okay, his gimmick is that everyone loves him eternally for some reason, so I guess he's fine.
To be fair, he goes through some shit, man. He goes
Yeah.
through a good amount of shit.
But he asks for all of that shit.
Doesn't
all of
he-
the shit that happens to him is immediately because of his own actions.
Right, just because he's trying to he wants to be with his friends and do what they do and be like them. Like, I
Yeah,
think
it's not
very
his fault he got
normal.
stabbed in the eye and stuck on a platform for 3 days or whatever.
Okay,
Or-
it kind of is his fault both of those things happened.
He was
because
bringing him cookies to show that he still cared. We got to back up. We got to fucking back up.
But the reason he lost his eye is because he tries to immediately rush in and pick a fight that he knows he can't win.
Yeah, all right, fair. All
I
right.
mean, I'd say they were more ambushed than going there to pick a fight.
Well, they knew it was dangerous. They were explicitly told it was dangerous.
but
and he,
kids do
he
dangerous
rushes
stuff.
in faster than the rest of them.
Earlier today,
I
my
feel like
kid-
this goes back to you two having two very different childhoods.
Earlier today, my kid hit a tree with a plank of wood she found, and it bounced off of it and swung right over my head.
Oh,
Kids just do dangerous shit, man. That's just what kids do.
I didn't do dangerous shit. I was terrified of that.
Oh, I did dangerous shit. Yeah, all the time.
No, I did not.
All the time. I mean, not like I wasn't like fucking riding motorcycles through rings on fire, but we'd like jump off the roof onto the trampoline and shit.
Oh
you
God,
know, like
no, I would never do anything like that.
you know that kind of
I
shit.
jumped off the roof with an umbrella once.
I am risk
Wax,
averse
hold on.
in real life as risk averse as I am in games.
You mean you just fell off the roof?
No, I had an umbrella. I wanted to see if it like
You're Mary
Mary
Poppins.
Poppins.
yeah. So I jumped off.
I interpreted Garl's character as these are his best friends in the world, and these are the chosen ones. You know, that's their story arc. Is they're basically do nothing characters. The thing they do is be chosen ones,
Right.
and
They
Garl
had no
wants,
agency in this.
Yeah, Garl wants to be with them. He wants to go
Right.
with them, not for any reason other than to be with his friends and to experience what they
Right.
experience. And I respected that about Garl,
Right.
is that he
And
was
that's-
willing to walk into literal, absolute certain doom many times just
Right.
to be with them, just to do it with them and to be a part of their story. And I
But he
I
also
like that.
keeps accidentally sabotaging them by
doesn't-
interrupting
it's-
important information or or putting them into more danger than they need to be.
Hey, he's not the one that like unleashes like all hell. So
I think what I like is Garl is, as the game tells us, unremarkable. He's not a remarkable person, and through the course of events that happen in the game, he gets to be remarkable.
True. Yeah, I'll give you that.
And I liked that arc. Was the game very much like, this guy's unremarkable, and we're not going to make him remarkable by giving him powers and making him special like everyone else. He's going to be remarkable by being memorable, by being loved, by being a good person, by being positive. And I liked that messaging a lot, even if sometimes he was kind of annoying. Yeah. Let's fucking talk about the very beginning of the game. You are in Moon Cradle.
Yes.
Your Solstice warriors, born on the solstice, are taken by Headmaster Moraine to go train to be Solstice warriors. Early on, we see Brugraves and Erlina, and we get some indication that maybe there's some weirdness with the Solstice warriors, or maybe they're not super happy with how things have worked out.
Right.
And then you go through the kind of tutorial school segment of the game that's a little long in the tooth while you become these Solstice warriors.
And at this point, my assumption of the story was going to be that Moraine was evil and that Brugraves and Erlina were going to save you from him.
1,000%. And I, even at the very end of the game, I was like, Moraine's going to show up at any point and be fucking evil.
Yeah.
So
I just kept waiting for it.
I feel like it really sets it up, and instead it pivots. It takes a 90-degree turn when it's like, no, he's aggressive and lashing out because of the loss he suffered, that has just destroyed him and made him kind of bitter and angry, and that's how it's coming out. I think it's
you
also
wouldn't
just
really know it
JRPGs.
Looking at his sprite, though.
True. I think it's just in general, like anytime you see a mentor type character that's kind of abrasive sometimes and has angry outbursts, you're like, oh, they're secretly the bad guy. Like that's just your immediate assumption.
Yeah.
So they go through these Solstice warrior trials. They become Solstice warriors, and they set off to go find the the Elder Mist.
Yes.
And they go through the Forbidden Cave, and you go to the Elder Mist, and you go through these Elder Mist trials and celestial runes
tutorials,
and stuff.
essentially.
Yeah, to do the tutorials to become like full-fledged celestial warriors or
Solstice
whatever.
warriors.
Solstice warriors, pardon me. Garl eventually tags along with you, even though Moraine's like, hey, these people, because the reason you're a Solstice warrior, your job is to fight Dwellers, which are these big beastly creatures that the Fleshmancer has summoned, and so that's what you're training for. That's this whole training regimen. They're the Rita to your Power Rangers. That's why Zordon has brought you here.
What?
You wouldn't get it, Saturn.
I apparently do not get that now.
So we'll see Zordon.
It's fine. Let's go. I'll read a wiki later.
And then Garl is the Alpha 5 of the group. So
that's not even wrong, dude. God damn.
I know it's not. So you are here to fight these Dwellers. You go through these Elder Mist trials, and it's all pretty straightforward. You feel like you're careening toward there's some kind of moment. We're going to fight this Dweller. We're going to get out in the world. Blah 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 blah. You go through the Moorlands.
They make a repeated point about how this is the last Dweller, and that you have to do it on an eclipse, and an eclipse is coming up, so you have to get prepared for it.
A nice short 10-hour game.
Honestly, I really thought there were so many times that I was like, this has to be the end of the game. I got to be like right there at it.
For sure.
Yeah,
I constantly found myself thinking there has to be more than this. Up until the very end, I was like, you sure there's not still more of this?
No,
I had the exact opposite impression.
No, what I call acts are different points when I thought the game was going to end.
Yeah, and the game is separated into different acts. If you look at any walkthroughs or anything, they're separated by acts. So you go to Stonemason's Outpost, you go through the Wind Tunnel Mine, you meet the Mole people. Everything's pretty standard JRPG stuff. Here is the racially themed. What?
Can we talk about how you get to like the fucking mole people? Like, you just get yeeted across the map.
Yeah,
Extol and Yeet. There are giant stone creatures that serve as fast travel points. Yeah. And you run up to them, you say their name, and they put you in a stone pod and chuck you across
the other one's
the map.
name so that they know where to send you.
Oh, right. You say the destination name.
Right.
And so they didn't tell you the return giant's name because Garl interrupted you, I think.
Yes.
No, he said the giant's name, and then it picked you up and threw you.
Yeah,
and they're like,
before they
shit,
can
what
tell
was
you.
that giant's name? And later on, you learn that it's Yeet.
Yeah.
Which is so
And I was
good.
upset that not all the giants had pun names. I was a little annoyed at that. Anyway, it's all pretty straightforward JRPG stuff. You go through Stonemason's Outpost. The Wind Tunnel Mine's your first dungeon.
Yep.
You meet a little mole guy, and he's upsetting everyone. And then I thought he was going to be the next party member.
You know, the Mole Tribe is where I really started to feel the Mario RPG influence. Like, there was
Okay.
already some mild Mario RPG stuff,
Yeah.
but that really just hit it right on the head, is where I started to feel Mario RPG in there.
Yeah, you can see that.
For why?
Because there's also a town of mole people in Mario RPG.
Oh,
And
okay.
they are also
Okay.
diggers. And...
That makes sense to me now. Then I didn't play Mario RPG.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I mean, moles in
started to,
general
like-
are always diggers, right? Like,
true, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a key feature of moles.
Yeah, I guess so.
So you go through this. You go through Wind Tunnel Mine. You help out. His name's Malcolmud, something like that.
Malkamud.
the little upset mole guy.
Yeah.
And then you eventually make your way down to the port town of Brisk, where you meet the pirates for the first time
and get lost constantly.
and get lost constantly. Yes, because Brisk is a big ass town,
It's a maze.
and they hire you. You're trying to get to fight the Dweller. They've got a ship you can use, but you need to go clear out this abandoned wizard's lab, which I think that's when the live mana tutorial is. Is that when that is, or is it earlier?
No,
Is it
it's
way
earlier.
earlier than
Elder
that?
Mist Trials.
Yeah.
I don't know why in my head. You know what it is? The Alchemist's Lab is what the demo is. So it's when I learned live
okay.
mana.
Yeah, I didn't play the demo.
Yeah, it's
But you
just the Alchemist Lab.
You forgot the pirate crew and how amazing they are.
Yeah, I was just getting to them. So you meet the
Oh,
pirate
I'm sorry.
crew,
I'm sorry.
and they're there. There's Keenathan,
Yeah.
who is a not blind wind mage that can only do magic when his eyes are covered up, so he wears dual eye patches.
so
Please
good.
tell me that in the post game they go back to him for something.
I wish they did.
Because-
they hint multiple times,
Yes.
pretty heavily, that Keenathan has this secret background that you are not privy to,
Right.
and they never go back to it. So near the end of the game, there's that one kind of wink, wink, nudge, nudge
Yeah.
from Keenathan that you're like, oh, something's gonna happen, and then they never readdress it. Never comes back up. Or maybe there is some post game stuff I haven't done. There are a
Okay.
couple things, nothing
right.
big or story related, but I don't know. Possible.
Yeah.
You see Yolanda, and
Yep.
these are all very tropey characters.
Yeah.
Who's the other guy?
Yolanda.
Who's the guy with the magic shirt that makes him buff?
Valtrade.
Yeah.
Valtrade. And so they are there with their captain, who you will later learn is Sarai pretty soon because
Right.
they're the same sprite in different costumes.
Right.
But you see, so what I really loved about Yolanda is her annoying bit is that she always says things are her middle name. Like, oh, danger's my middle
Yeah.
name. Oh,
Yeah.
kindness is my middle name. And it's the dumbest bit
Yeah.
until 30 hours later when she gives her full name and it includes every
All of
middle name
those.
that she made the joke about in the whole
Oh
game.
man. That,
And
that
that-
payoff is so great.
Because it's such a dumb, cringy
Yeah.
joke because she jams it into the conversation.
Yeah.
It never makes sense.
And also every time that she makes that joke, she jumps up on one leg and farts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a fart? Is that what that's supposed to be?
I always thought it was.
I thought it was
makes
like
that
a
little toot
winking noise or something.
I don't know. It just always sounded like a fart noise to me.
They should have made it a wetter fart then, so it was more identifiable.
I also like that she breaks the fourth wall constantly.
She
She
does,
does,
yeah. And that payoff with her, because she was the only
Yeah.
character that I was like, I really just don't like her because
Right.
she has to jam her gimmick in every conversation and it's dumb.
Yeah. And
But
then they finally
then
pay it off.
It is her actual middle name,
yeah. That's
and it's
brilliant.
got all of it. And I was like,
Yeah.
yeah! I was like so excited.
And the other thing is, she's the one who keeps almost giving away future story elements.
Yeah.
And so Sarai constantly has to interrupt her to prevent her from spoiling the story.
You mean
I feel
Captain
like-
Cliche?
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Captain
Captain-
Cliche.
Cliche.
That's such a good name.
I never until right now realized that it is. I never said it out loud.
Really?
Yeah, never.
That's how I immediately knew she was Sarai, right? Like,
Right.
Because it was the same sprite.
Yeah.
She's got the same haircut and everything. Like it's her.
I recognize both of those reasons.
So eventually, you go through the wizard's lab. You get taken on their little shitty boat to the town of Lucent in the Cursed Woods. And then you are encountering the flooded graveyard, the haunted mansion, the necromancer's lair. Everything gets very dark. It gets very gloomy.
Right.
It's a very moody area.
Yeah.
And you're working your way through this necromancer's lair. You meet the Count dude. What's his name?
Duke Abernathy or something.
Something.
Yeah.
You get to meet the necromancer, and she's funny. I like her.
I never remember their names. The three.
I don't either. Because you only meet two of them anyway, don't you?
Yeah, I think so. I only remember meeting two of them anyway.
And so eventually this all leads up to you going back to Brisk, and you go with Captain Cliche and her pirate crew to find the Vespertine. This
Duke Aventry.
The what?
Duke Aventry. That was
Duke
his name.
Aventry. Thank you.
Yeah.
You're on this quest to find the Vespertine. I don't remember
Yes.
what you were finding the Vespertine for. You needed to go somewhere that only the Vespertine could get to.
First, it's because the pirate crew want the Vespertine, and then after
Because they don't have
the
a ship. They're on a
with-
shitty raft.
Right. And then after the events with the Dweller wrecks the town of Brisk, you need to get people on a ship to get them out of there.
Yes. And so you go and you take this. And this whole time, Sarai is popping up, Captain Cliche is popping up, and it is very clear that Sarai knows way more than she's letting on.
Right. And also anytime that anytime Sarai shows up, Captain Cliche has to step out of the room for a minute.
Yes.
And
yes.
and no one brings any attention whatsoever to any of this.
And so Sarai is really hinting at a much deeper plot, and she has powers that
Right.
are never explained.
Right.
And so she's kind of your indication that this is not actually the end of the game. There's more stuff going on.
But also the fact that you haven't explored most of the overworld.
Also that.
Yeah, that too.
That was my big thing. I was like, well, I haven't explored any of this stuff
I just
yet.
got done playing Chrono Cross. For all I know, there's 5 fucking islands and that's it. Like, that game was a tiny overworld. Could be post-game. I don't know.
Yeah.
And we didn't even talk about, is this when Brisk gets attacked by the Dweller?
It's after you fight the Dweller.
Okay, so you get the Vespertine.
Because no, you don't get the Vespertine until after you fought the Dweller. Because you fight the Dweller, and then when you're supposed to be containing its core, you get betrayed.
Yes, let's talk about the Dweller fight then. I mixed my events up.
Yeah.
So you eventually make your way to fight the Dweller. The Eclipse shows up. Elder Moraine is there. And this is the first time, I think, that you get a special combat scenario where combat is different in some interesting way. And in this one, Moraine is there, and he can either contain the Dweller or he can heal you. And there's a few different times where the game kind of shakes up the combat in an interesting way. I liked that. And you get betrayed. You defeat the Dweller, and you have to like smash its core or whatever you're supposed to do.
Right.
And then Brewgraves and Erlina show up, and they betray you.
Well,
and
they were
go.
helping you fight the whole time.
Yeah, they were there, but then whenever the core is there, they go to betray you.
Right. Exactly.
And it's devastating. And they indicate. At this point of the game, I still think Moraine is evil.
Yeah, same here.
Because they're kind of saying shit like they don't know what choices they're making and like so on and so forth. And you're like...
They keep saying things to imply that we should join them because we don't know the truth yet.
Yes.
So I keep waiting for that other shoe to fall.
Yes. So the betrayal wasn't surprising, but I still felt like it was setting up Moraine. And so then, after that, you have to go get the Vespertine. And then this is about the time that the Dweller attacks Brisk, destroys the town.
Yeah, because when they betray you, the one Dweller that you fought is already dead, but they use its core to revive another Dweller, and that's the one that attacks Brisk.
Because the first one's the Dweller of Woe, and then they resurrect the Dweller of Strife.
Yes,
right?
Sure.
Yes, maybe?
Sure, yes.
One of those negative words. The Dweller of Meanness. The Brisk scene was pretty upsetting for me. It was tough. Like, you're there while people are just getting crushed all over this town, and it was very distressing to me. I was very distressed. The game is so cute and fun, and this is also the first time you're in Brisk is the first time you encounter the pirates, and this is really when the game is at its goofiest.
Yeah.
It's very lighthearted, it's very goofy, and then it turns around and explodes all of that in fire, and kids are buried under crossed beams and shit. It was pretty dark.
Yeah, I was honestly expecting to learn that some important character had died at that point, and was kind of surprised that they didn't.
But then half the town goes off to start their own town of
Right.
Mirth, which Garl is kind of unofficially in charge of.
Yeah, he just takes control, starts a town based entirely on his charisma, because he's apparently the most charismatic character in the game.
Yeah.
And this is where I started to shift my opinion of what the plot was going to be, because after you've founded the town, Moraine shows up and he says he's retired.
He fucking quits.
He's living the peaceful life. Fuck it. If you guys want to keep solstice warrioring, whatever, go to town. And when they changed his sprite to the old man sprite that isn't the warrior sprite,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, maybe he's not going to be the bad guy.
Yes, I was surprised at his retirement because
Right, yeah, me too.
they're playing up this juncture like the Dweller is resurrected, the whole world is going to die. We are all going to die if we don't
Right.
do something. And he's like, "Yeah, that sucks, dude." And you're like, "No, hold on, you will die too. We will all die."
Yeah,
And he's like, "Oh,
I
that's
expected
awful,
him
man."
I expected him to double down on the fierceness at that point. Be like, no, we have to stop him, and you're going to do this. But no, he's just like, well, if you guys want to keep fighting, sure, but I'm done.
He was just broken. It was too
Yeah.
fucking much. That betrayal
Right.
happened, and he's like, I can't. It's outside of my purview.
When you learn more of his backstory, it makes sense.
It does, but at this juncture, the retirement feels very strange.
Oh, yeah.
It's very odd. I think after this is Dokari Village and the tower of Aunt Sudlo that leads to Glacial Peak.
Yes.
And
yeah.
you meet the Dokaris. They're the fish people. They live under the ocean.
Yep.
And you get to talk to them, and they tell you some stuff that I don't remember what all it was.
They tell Zale and Valere some pretty mundane prophecies, and then they tell Garl that sometime he's going to have to ask for a vial of borrowed time.
Yes. And that becomes extremely important
In a bit.
Dokari Village takes you up to Glacial Peak, and stuff happens there. I don't remember Glacial Peak. I do remember this being the first like big The Messenger thing, because
Yes.
I had gone back to try to play The Messenger, and Glacial Peak is an area in The Messenger, and they had the same music and stuff, and so I thought that was cool.
And you have to. That's when you have to get the vial for the archivist. He needs his little weapon.
Oh
His
yeah,
Sands
'cause
of Time or whatever it is.
You've met Rashawn. We haven't even talked about it, but there's like a character narrating this story with interspersed segments, and it turns out to be Rashawn.
Yeah.
And you have to go find his vial, and Rashawn joins you. And I was shocked for him to join.
Yeah, me too. I did not expect that.
He did not seem like the kind of character that would join your party, especially when he's like, hey, there's a lot of stuff I can't do because of whatever code I live by.
Right.
And there are many times in the game where he's like, yeah, I can't help you. I can't do that.
Yeah,
I can't
I'm
be
stepping
in this
out of this one."
combat. Yeah, and you're like, what the fuck, man? And throughout the course of the game, they never really explain who he is, what this weird code he lives by is, what his complicated relationship with Eforal, the Fleshmancer, is.
From the Messenger, I had all kinds of guesses about it.
Yeah.
I was like, well, he's one of the robed figures. He's clearly involved with all the nonsense that they are involved in, which is way beyond the scope of what this game has shown me so far. So I'm sure he has his reasons, and eventually when we tie everything together, we'll find out.
Yeah. Then you go to Torment Peak. I don't remember Torment Peak.
That's where the Gorilla Matriarch was.
Yes. And you get to... This is one of my favorite segments in the game.
But you don't remember it?
No, I remember the gorilla segment. I didn't remember
because
this
there
where
were
the gorilla
furry
was.
butts.
Because of the furry butts. There's a scene where you walk into a room and there's little butts sticking up out of the ground, and Valere just goes, are these little furry butts?
Yeah.
And they are. They're the butts of the gorilla matron's babies.
Yeah, and the thing about the Torment Peak specifically was that's when you find out that that there was another Dweller alive this whole time.
Yeah, Dweller of Torment.
Yeah, that the previous Solstice Warriors just left alive, locked up. And so this is when you start to learn that previous Solstice Warriors have been outright lying to everybody.
Yeah.
And so you start to question a lot more than just Moraine, and you start to think maybe the whole organization is corrupt.
Yeah. And again, it's I'm still not convinced that Moraine isn't secretly behind you.
Right. Yeah.
at this juncture. I'm still just not fully convinced of that. You go through Autumn Hills, you fight a leaf monster. Yeah, there it is. Saturn shared the screenshot. Are you seeing a bunch of furry little butts? Why, yes, I am, Valir.
And her shocked face is what really sells it.
You go through Song
I like that you
Shroom.
spoiled it.
Yeah, so,
Well,
you know,
I just copied my previous image, which I had already spoiled, and
okay.
it apparently copies that.
Song Shroom Marsh was a highlight area for me. I thought
Yep.
it was really cool. I liked that one a lot.
Yeah, I like how the background mushrooms sing along with the background music.
And this is all leading up to the Clockwork Castle,
Yes.
which is a cool zone. This is, I think, the next time you see Brewgraves and Erlina, and they offer for you to join them again.
Right.
And the game never actually gives you a choice. Your character's just like, no, fuck you, we'll die.
We're the heroes.
Yeah, they're very cardboard cutout. It's very...
They're very generic JRPG heroes.
They are. You go through the Clockwork Castle, and then at the end of it, you meet these little clockwork dudes. Kyle? Kale?
I was calling him Kale.
Kyle? You meet
don't know.
Kyle? And he's...
See my friend Kyle.
It's this group of 10-year-old kids that have been trapped in this castle. If they leave,
Yeah.
they will die.
Right.
And they... What?
What?
I thought someone interrupted me. I'm sorry.
No, I was agreeing with you.
Yes. And they... so they're in these 10-year-old bodies that have aged like old people bodies.
Right.
Because they can't die a natural death there. And they are going to help you with the Dweller. Because you can't... the solstice has passed.
Right.
And you can only defeat a Dweller with a solstice, but they figure out how to make this machine that'll basically shoot sun laser beams or whatever at the Dweller so that you can fight it. On the way...
Oh, no. Because and Glacier Peak is where you got the amulet that'll just make a solstice.
Yeah.
Or make an eclipse. And so what they did was they had a machine that'll rip the ceiling off so that the eclipse can shine in.
But their machine shot laser beams at it.
Oh, maybe it amplified the power of the eclipse.
No,
or something.
Garl got rid of the ceiling.
Right,
Or did he get rid of
right.
the ceiling on the previous Dweller?
It was on
with
the previous
Moraine
one.
was there.
Yeah.
This one, I think you were just already on the ceiling.
Yeah.
And
you're on the roof.
they shoot. They give you a laser gun. It's a big laser beam.
Well, they give you a
machine.
big crystal laser thing that
You can charge
that
it up.
amplifies your power.
It's another
Yeah.
non-standard combat, which is really cool. And before you fight the Dweller of Strife, who has been resurrected from the core that you got betrayed over, you fight 1, 2, 3, and 4, who are this weird shadowy cabal of characters that are helping
Go down
Erlina
way
and
too
Brewgraves.
easy.
They really do. That was not a tough fight.
Right? They hyped that up a lot.
They really did. And at this point, I'm like, all right, this is the end of the game. We're right here.
Oh, I did not
killed
think
1,
that
2,
at all.
3, and 4, and we're gonna fight the Dweller. That's gonna be it. We're done. That's I've done it. I'm right here. And you find and you fight the Dweller of Strife. It's a pretty cool battle. I like that one. I like that Dweller. It's a big giant eyeball with wings. It's got the laser beam crystal.
See, at this point, I was thinking there's still areas I haven't explored, and I still haven't even gotten a navigation method to get to these areas.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
I
you're
knew that I
thinking-
couldn't be at the end yet.
Too smartly about it. Just think more dumbly about it, and you'll be
Oh,
where I
my bad.
was. So then everything's about visiting the Cloud Kingdom and getting access to the Sea of Stars.
Right. Well, it's because at the Clockwork Castle, after you fight the Dweller, you can't beat him because the laser cannon breaks.
Yeah.
And so Garl, in the heat of passion, grabs Rashawn's weapon and throws it at the Dweller, which breaks Rashawn's
no.
code.
That was Sarai that did that.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh. I don't know why I was thinking it was Garl that did that.
Sarai
Because you
did it
hate
because
Garl and
she
you want
knew
him
that
to
it
do
would
all
be
the dumb
effective
stuff.
because she was from the other world.
That's
Yes.
right. I just thought that that Garl had deserved to eat shit. So in my mind, he did.
Wow.
But then after that, Garl does eat shit. He
Yeah,
gets-
you were right, you fucking dick.
Is this when he dies?
Yeah. This is when
Okay.
a Forel shows up and shoots him with the thing.
Yes. And this is the first time we see Aforel, the Fleshmancer, kind of
Right.
hanging out with Rashawn talking.
Yes,
And they
because
talk.
they pause time for a moment.
They talk very casually.
Yeah,
And
Well, Rashawn had said previously that they had been acquaintances before.
right,
Like
but
that they
they're
worked
talking
together.
like they're brothers or something.
Yeah,
like it's
they're-
it's very intimate, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's because of Garl's request to survive with the vial of borrowed time that he sees the vision of the Cloud Kingdom and everything, and that's what convinces
Yes.
them to go to all these places.
So Garl gets zapped by the Fleshmancer. Time resumes. You go to the Elder Mist to try to save him. This is the first time that Zale and Valir exhibit qualities of being the resurrected gods of
yeah,
Sun and Moon. What are their names? Solar and Moon Lady.
Luana.
And they turn into beams of light and fly Garl over to the Elder Mist, at which point he gets a vial of borrowed time from Rashawn, who specifically is getting upset because he will not give Garl the vial. Garl has to ask him for it.
Right,
And we never know why.
right.
It's the rules he
And-
lives by, man.
And so Garl...
I assumed it
Go
was
ahead.
tied into the same rules as like the non-interference rules that
same
Sarai
here.
broke.
Yeah,
Sure.
I just assume that Rashawn has a lot of rules. We're not going to learn them all because
And
he's
maybe,
a shadowy figure.
Absolutely, but who set those rules? What are they? Why are they in place? When can you break them? What are the punishments for breaking them? You know, like there's just a lot
Sea
of
of Stars
questions.
2, dude.
Well, some of that's explained in the Messenger too.
Yeah, I kind of thought some of that might be there too.
So, you want to get to the Sea of Stars because was it Garl has a vision or some shit?
Yeah, he as part of his vial of borrowed time, he has to fulfill his purpose, and he decides his purpose is to help them defeat the Fleshmancer, and the way he can do so is shown to him through a vision, and it's get to the Cloud Kingdom and wake up the sleeper and find the way to the Sea of Stars.
You go to the Cloud Kingdom. It's basically run by a bunch of bureaucrats, and they tell you tell them you're going to wake
Giant
this
bureaucrats.
Yeah, giant bureaucrats. They tell you that if you can wake the sleeper, they'll give you access to the Sea of Stars.
My favorite one is the one that moves his feet when you walk under him.
Yeah, I like the one that has the little bandage on his foot. He's got a little boo boo. And so Garl sets about to wake this giant dragon, the sleeper, who is tied into the messenger.
Right. Well, it's, his descendant is
Yeah.
tied into the messenger.
And so Garl's plan is to bake a gigantic, huge dragon-sized loaf of bread.
That's the greatest plan.
The party breaks up into 3 different parties.
And when the bureaucrats ask him why does he think that baking a giant loaf of bread will make the historically murderous sleeper docile, he says, "Well, everybody likes to wake up to the smell of bread."
I was not with his plan until he said that, and I was like, well, he's not wrong. He's not very wrong there,
Well,
is he?
let me ask you this: you have lizards. Do
Yeah.
they also enjoy waking up to the smell of bread?
You know, I've never offered them bread. One of them won't even eat his fucking regular food half the time. Little
Exactly.
picky
What makes
asshole.
you think a giant flying lizard is going to like the bread any more than a regular lizard?
Well, you know, game logic.
Exactly.
So this is I accrued 2 game overs in this section because Rashawn splits himself into 3 Rashans, and he goes with each group. You have 3 different quests. Well, you know, you're like building an oven. Someone's got to get this thing to grow the wheat. You're basically building bread,
Right.
but through quests. And so you have to get really good at Rashawn and his timings because you've got him stuck in your party for a few hours here.
Yeah. Oh, I rushed through this section. It felt like it was very quick.
I
to me.
tried to. It was so hard. I had such a hard time with Rashawn. I was struggling.
This is right when the game stopped being as hard for me for some reason.
was
I think
very
it's because I did a shitload of grinding not long before this.
I got 2 game overs, literally just intentionally tanking my combat to learn Rashawn's timings because it's so hard for me.
Almost
Going
all of
back
my
to gameplay and Saturn's trouble with combat, like that was the other thing that was surprising to me today was, or I guess it was yesterday, like you hadn't gotten to the Sea of Stars yet and you were already at the level I was when it's like, hey, the final boss is coming.
Yeah, I finished I beat the final ending at level 20.
Yeah, I was higher than that. Before the first Dweller fight had died so many times that I kept going and grinding places, and then I was grinding again in the mushroom area just because of how hard everything was for me.
Yeah.
And then I did so much grinding right there that the next several areas were basically a cakewalk.
Yeah. So eventually you bake the loaf of bread, you get access to the Sea of Stars, and then Garl's time is up. He's accomplished his task, and he dies.
Yeah. He eats shit.
And he eats shit, as they say. And it's very sad. All the characters take a little bit of time off. They kind of, find themselves a little bit. This is really the only time that Zale and Valir kind of exhibit some interesting characteristics. Watching them go through this hardship is interesting. It was for me anyway.
Yeah, I agree with that.
They felt like generic JRPG protagonists to me the entire game, so it didn't really stand out for me.
Like I said they get less cardboardy, not cardboardy at all.
Yeah, I mean, they're still cardboardy, but I felt for him here. It was the first time in the game that I really felt like they had emotions other than, ha ha ha, Garl, you're so weird. Like, just anything.
Yeah.
And it's pretty tough, man. Like, watching the whole thing with Garl, because I was like, they give Garl this flask of borrowed time, and you're like, he's not really going to die. He has this flask of borrowed time. He's going to find some way, or Rashawn's going to be like, oh, here's my little timey-wimey thing that'll fix it. Right. And he fucking dies.
I did kind of expect them to reverse it later. Like, they would find, especially because the next plot moment after his death is that you go to the Sea of Stars, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to kind of give a brief preview, when you sail the Sea of Stars, you end up in another planet, another world. Yep. And I expected once you got there that there would be another similar Garl and you would somehow merge their thoughts together.
So let's jump to the Sea of Stars. You go to the Sea of Stars and all of a sudden you're in Sarai's homeworld.
Right.
And she reveals that she's a robot person.
Yeah, she's a cyborg.
A cyborg person. Everything goes sci-fi.
Yeah.
The color of your health bars change to a blue color. The background on all of the menu boxes
the UI
gets
stuff.
like these little scan lines.
Yeah. Yeah, and it happens kind of subtly as you're sailing in the Sea of Stars. Before you get there, it slowly changes your UI until the point where Sarai reveals everything. The UI has changed at this point.
I didn't notice that at all.
Really?
The
first thing I noticed is I was like, different. Oh, there's lines on the text boxes. And then when I got in combat, I was like, my health bar is blue, not green.
Right, yeah. I noticed all of these things like gradually. I was like, oh, something's changing. Something big is changing. And then when she revealed, I was like, I get it. I get all this now.
No, I guess in my brain it just sort of blended into the general change of everything.
Yeah. And I know it's kind of speeding through things, but really, Sarai's homeworld, it's more the same. There's a dweller there. Their moon has been crashed. The sun is blocked. The Fleshmancer's there. And you go about the task of removing the clouds so the sun can get in, killing the dweller that has trapped the moon under the ocean, bringing the moon back, and then you fight the Fleshmancer. I know it's really skipping like the whole back half of the game, but that's basically the...
Well, you skipped Best, which is the important part.
Oh, yes. I did skip Best. Best is your final party member, and he's a little poofy fart ghost thing, because there's a lot of sad stuff that happened in Sarai's world. It's very dark. It's very like dystopian.
Very bleak world.
Her hometown Rapine is very like cyberpunky looking.
Yeah.
And Best was basically a victim of the Fleshmancer's machinations.
He was a soul with no body, and so Rashawn has to make him one out of glass.
Gives him a living glass body.
It really is a preview of the stakes that exist in the original world, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We're in, and especially because I talk to everyone in Rapine, and every person is like, "I used to feel." Like, oh my fucking god.
Yeah.
The next person is just like, oh, I remember the sun, and you're like, holy shit, man, this is fucking dark.
Yeah.
And so after you've kind of fixed the sun and the moon situation, the game tells you, it's like, hey, you can go fight the Fleshmancer whenever you want. But that's the end of the game. It like gives you like a text box pop up.
Right.
And this is when I went and did side quest stuff for a while before fighting the Fleshmancer. His final lair is gross and fleshy and full of weird body horror stuff.
Yeah.
And the final boss is Erlina, who has been transformed into what Eforol wanted to be the ruler of this new world. Although you're not really sure, is it Sarai's world or your world, or was she going to rule both worlds? Or
I think specifically Sarai's world, but I was confused by the motivation here. I was confused by so much at this point. because I feel like they didn't do a great job of explaining Erlena's motivation in doing any of this.
Like the initial motivation of joining the group, yes, you understand.
Yeah.
But then the motivation of being full on evil and taking over a planet. I mean,
Right.
I think there's a part where she's like, hey, she implies that she could make a world where kids weren't forced to be solstice warriors and do
Right.
things against their will, but it's like, this is not the camp to throw in with if that's what your goal is.
Right, because she kind of goes full board evil real quickly, despite not showing any tendencies toward that.
I feel like she's just like the way the game presents it is she's just a really broken person at this
Right.
juncture.
And they also imply several times that the Fleshmancer kind of misleads people
Yes.
into doing things that are worse than what they actually want to do.
Yeah.
So there's a chance that she doesn't understand really the weight of what she is doing or saying. But it's
I think also by the
confusing.
time he gave her gifts after the full betrayal and after
Right.
the Garl's death and stuff, I think becoming the sorceress, she goes kind of. I presume they go kind of crazy. Like I don't imagine they're in control of their faculties at that
Right.
point. But she ends up being the last boss. You defeat her in her second form, and then the Fleshmancer shows up. Rashawn, who has left you at this point, he's like, I need to go tend to some shit, and you've got a fake puppet Rashawn running around with you.
Right.
Pops out, and he's like, oh, hey, Aforel, it's time to go. And Aforel's like, I guess I lost. And they go fuck off through a portal, and the credits roll after an inexplicable shmup segment.
Yeah.
Which was
You
great.
it was
yeah, it was
fun.
great.
You beat the last boss, and they're like, oh, he's finally gone. And you're like, that's it? He just leaves? And then they're like, oh, a world killer is in space. We must
World
go. Whatever. And you're like,
Yeah,
"They're- a world eater? Okay.
Right.
They shoot off into the sky, and they're fucking spaceships shooting laser beams. And you're like,
Yeah.
okay.
I felt I felt the video game equivalent of blue balls at this point because I had no idea what was going on. I felt no closure whatsoever. It felt like they were building up to something, and then they're like, "Fuck it, rip out the last 6 pages, replace it with a shmup, and just go."
It was odd.
I mean,
I
that was
didn't
Xenogears,
dislike it,
right?
but it was definitely odd. What were you saying, Guy?
I said that was what they did with Xenogears, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's basically the Xenogears ending.
So at this point, you beat the game, and it shows you, hey, there's these statues in the Moorlands, which are these
Right.
7 quests that you can complete to get, more story.
Yeah, I had apparently already finished 4 of them.
The
at
quests
that
are,
point.
find inhabitants for all the homes in Mirth, complete all 5 solstice shrines, unlock the sealed Dokari ruins, help free Duke Aventry from Ramaya's control, help Best become the champion of the Dweller Arena in Brisk, help Sarai defeat the Queen that was, and collect all 60 rainbow conches. Coincidentally, these actions all also get the ultimate weapons and equipment for all of your characters.
Yeah.
And then you can go do the final ending. So here's the thing. This is my extreme final ultimate spoiler warning. This is the final ending. This is the post-game content. If you plan on doing these things, you should, because there is more story. It is cool. It is interesting. I enjoyed it.
I want to get to this part.
I guess-
this is where. Go ahead.
Sorry, no, I was going to say, I guess I've done 6 of the 7 then, because I did all the final weapon quests. Once I figured out that's what was going on with conversations in camp, I was like, oh, I'm going to do all these.
See, I'm trying to figure out what I haven't done because on your list, I've gotten all the inhabitants and the homes in Mirth. I've gotten, I've done all 5 of the solstice shrines and cleared those out. I got the Dokari ruins. I helped Duke Aventry. I did the arena, and I did the. I'm working on the conches. I'm working on Sarai's thing, but when I went to the place in Moorlands, it also showed visions of Zale, and I don't know what I'm missing there.
I'm not sure, because that one I had apparently already done. Zales is the solstice shrines.
Yeah, but I've done those.
All of them? Did you do
Yeah.
the one after you unlock all of them? Because when you unlock the last shrine and go through it, or excuse me, after you do the 5, you have to go to the 6th shrine basically, or whatever it is, and then you get.
Oh
his
right,
ultimate weapon.
I had about to do that, and then I stopped. All right, I need to
There
go do
you go.
that. Right.
Yeah. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
So this is extreme final ultimate spoiler warning. After you've done these things, after you've done all of them, God, Garl comes back.
Yeah.
So here's what happens. And I'm trying to remember specifically, and Guy, I think you might be fresher on it than me, so please correct me if I get it wrong.
Oh no, I read a Wikipedia, dude. Fuck off.
Basically, what happens is that moment where right before Garl died, time was frozen.
Uh-huh.
And in that moment, they talk about how those little things are time shards.
Yeah, like from the messenger.
Best goes back in time from where you are now, late in the game, swaps himself for Garl, uses his liquid glass to take Garl's form, and then Garl rejoins your party with his ultimate gear and with his ultimate move, which is awesome, where he rides on the sleeper and like fucking explodes everything. It's really cool.
Nice.
And then you have to go unbury Garl's, in air quotes, body, which is Best, who has been down here in real time for the amount of time that Garl has been dead.
no.
And is a little upset about it, but very nice about it. And now your whole party is complete, and Garl says, hey, if we have time, there's, a thing I want to do. I've got this fish hook of time. And so you go to Still Pond Island, and you pull a whole fucking fishing dungeon out of the island. You go through it, and at the end, it's not a very long dungeon. It's pretty. There's only like 2 or 3 battles in it. You go through it, and at the end, there's a hidden secret fishing pond in the bottom of the dungeon that came out of this fishing pond, and there's a gargantuan fish in it. You fish this gargantuan fish out of it, and it is the chef of the Golden Pelican.
Oh,
Nice.
And he says that I'll give you one wish, and Garl says, I want me and all my friends to have a meal at the Golden Pelican. This is the one thing I want. And so Garl and all of his friends go to the Golden Pelican. They all put on cute little like dress up clothes, and they have this wonderful meal. And it's a very heartfelt moment where, it's just them getting to be together and have this moment together. And I'll say this, I'm on record as hating when they kill a character and then just bring him back later.
yeah.
And I'm not sure why it is the case, but this one didn't bother me. I think because I really bought that Garl was dead, and I was like, yeah, they're not bringing him the fuck back.
This basically combines the Chrono and Robo plot points from Chrono Trigger.
Yeah?
Because it's stopping time to replace somebody's body. That's what they did with Chrono.
Yeah.
And it's a non-living character being forced to wait through a time period until the heroes catch back up with them. That happened to Robo.
Yeah?
They just took 2 parts from Chrono Trigger and used them to save a worse character.
Okay, slow your fucking roll, Saturn. All right.
So what you're telling me is that the bonus content, 1, doesn't answer any of the questions I have about the
Hold
game.
on. I'm gonna
And
get to
2, brings back Garl and fishing.
I think that y'all's disparate experiences is what's going to end Retro Warriors.
So here's my thing. Because I liked Garl. I enjoyed Garl.
Okay.
And his indomitable positiveness brought something to the game for me. And when he died, it was sad. He dies, and then you go to Sarai's world, and it's sad, and it's depressing, and it's dark through the whole rest of the fucking game. You get all the way to the end, it's fucking depressing and dark, and then there's no ending. It's just like, see you later.
Yeah.
And so by the end of the game, I was missing that. It had gotten dark, it had gotten depressing, it had gotten sad, and then all of a sudden in the middle of it, the most positive person in any game ever comes back and just wants to have dinner. I liked it, man.
It
sounds amazing. Yeah.
So for me, once Garl eats shit like he should have, the next part of the game finally felt like there were some real stakes. And I was like, oh, now finally there's a real game going on here. There's a more interesting, dire situation that we need to address. It's finally starting to feel like real shit is happening, and we can finally move on with the rest of the game. I was pretty pleased when Garl was gone.
No, I was sad. It changed. The tone of the game shifts after.
Yeah, I
Garl's
like
death
that
a lot.
better tone after.
I did that better tone was very sad and very dark, and even after you saved everyone in Repine, they're all still fucking robots. Like
Yeah,
you know
they're
what I
all
mean?
still cyborgs,
Their
so
world is
fucked.
shattered. Everything
Yeah.
is sad. Erlena's dead. I guess.
Yeah.
It's
the bird people are fucked.
the bird people are fucked. It's just really sad and dark. And in its darkest moment, Garl comes back and wants to go fishing and have dinner. And I was like, I wanted that. I was excited for that positivity right there at this 11th hour of depressiveness.
Yeah.
So that one didn't bother me. I liked it. I liked it a lot.
I was really looking forward to the rest of the bonus content, and then you told me it was Garl and fishing.
You go and you go to fight the Fleshmancer with Garl in tow, and you know what made me sad is when I was backtracking after Garl's death, but before he came back, I found a combo maneuver for Garl that I had missed my first go around. And it made me sad. It was like a heartfelt moment where I was like, oh, I guess I'm not going to fucking do this combo maneuver. That guy's dead, man. That guy ate shit.
Yeah, he did.
And it was sad. And then we came back and I was like, I can do it. And like, I was so excited. You go fight the Fleshmancer and it's the exact same encounter. The words are the same, except right when he goes to leave, Garl's like, hey, and he hits him in the head with an apple. And then the Fleshmancer is like, well, fuck her, Lena. I'm going to fight you now.
Oh,
that's what it was. That was the final straws, hitting him with an apple. And so you do the fight with the Fleshmancer. I played it nonstop. I didn't take any breaks. I didn't pause. It took me 1 hour to do that final boss fight. And at the 30-minute mark, the screen flashes and you're fighting him as a shmup.
Nice.
And you do a shmup battle, and then you cut back to the whole last half of his battle.
Uh-huh.
It was very long. It was very tough because the thing about this battle is you have to have all the ultimate weapons and equipment to get to him. So this is one of those times when the game knows exactly the power level you're going to be at.
Right.
I guess
unless
unless you get way over leveled, but like it knows what gear you're going to have. Yeah. So this battle is exactly tuned to be really difficult for that gear. And then you finish it and it's the same except at the very end, when Teeks and the Artificer, who we didn't even talk about the Artificer,
right.
Teeks and the Artificer are building their statues to Solana and Luana or whatever.
Yeah.
Garl's there, and he's an old man. He got old like Teeks did.
Oh, nice.
And he's like, all right, I got to go. And he goes back, and they cut to the cave in Mooncredle, where they played as kids, and he's cooking a big pot of stew. And Zale and Valir land, and they show up, and it's this big hugging moment, and you get a sepia tone and Finn down on the bottom, and that's the end of.
Oh, I thought you were going to say he runs into the monster that took his eye, and he still got it, and he gets his eye back.
He just puts his baby kid eye in his adult body.
Baby kid eye. Hey, is that guy with that one tiny eye? Oh, yeah, it's a baby kid eye. A what? You can just say a kid or a baby. You don't have to combine them. Yeah, from when he was a boy child. He had his baby kid eye back.
That's a throwback.
I liked it. My only complaint is that, like Saturn, even in this version, when you defeat the Fleshmancer, you do get another animated segment. But Rashawn shows up and he's like, come on, Aforo, let's go. And they're like, it's finally over. And you're like, what are you fucking talking about? He just left. Like, that's not, it's not over. Like, he just went through a door. Like,
well, they gotta go put the pieces together to set up the messenger now.
So I ended up really liking Garl's return. I really liked what it added to the end game. If you don't like Garl, like a wrong person who just wants to be depressed and sad all the time, then maybe you would not be excited about the positivity of dinner.
Saturn does not want to be depressed and sad all the time.
It just happens, sir.
I liked it a lot. It does feel like a lot of extra hours of work for not a ton more story, but the story that's there, like Garl coming back is a pretty big deal. Like whether you like it or not, like that's a big story point,
Yeah.
That's pretty fucking major.
I worry that would undo some of the emotional impact, though.
But doesn't that mean that Best was the one that took the flask of borrowed time?
Yeah.
Then cooked the big loaf of bread, but Best doesn't know how to cook.
Yeah.
Huh.
What? No. He took his place, from what you said anyway. He took his place right at the moment of death, which was after all that.
But no, it would have been when time
No,
was
he took his
frozen,
place
which was
whenever
before he got shot.
Yeah, when the Fleshmancer zapped him.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So that would mean Best was the one that came up with the plan, and Best was the one that knew about.
But Best
the Sea
also
Stars.
knew about the plan because he was told about what Garl
That's
did.
true,
by
but how does
everyone.
Best know how to cook a giant fucking loaf of bread?
Because of time paradoxes. That's how.
I don't understand.
Well,
He was told by everyone else what happened.
Also, that would mean Best knew to ask for a flask of borrowed time, but he's not the one that was told to ask for a flask of borrowed time by the Dokari.
But he
priest
was
dude.
told by everyone else that Garl had asked for a vial of borrowed time. And so when he went back and took Garl's place, he just did the things that other people told him that
okay.
Garl had done.
That
Turns
makes
out
sense.
I was right. This is Back to the Future 2.
I don't know. I liked the story. There were parts of it like really the ending is just kind of a do nothing ending. It really feels like
Yeah.
it's setting up a sequel or DLC or expansion or something. I don't know.
It does feel like they kind of rushed the ending.
Yeah.
Also, they included Garl, which is a problem that I have.
I don't know why you hate Garl so much.
Because he's annoying. He's so
How is he annoying? He's just positive and loves everyone and likes food.
Right, that's
what I
annoying to
said, yeah.
Saturn.
Yes. I think you just distrust positive people.
That's true, yeah. I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Life can't
I'm waiting,
possibly be good. You must be evil.
I'm waiting for him to ask me to sign up for Amway the whole time.
Fucking eat him way. Wow, okay.
So I don't know. I guess this is getting into final thoughts. I really enjoyed the story. I really enjoyed the characters. Garl's death hit me pretty hard. I was excited to see him come back. There were some really... there was one moment where you're supposed to turn over an item that is like means a lot to you or something important. That's what it was, like something important. I don't remember where it was. And in your inventory, every time you went to use a key item, fucking clogging up the top of your inventory is cookie jar.
Oh, yeah.
And in that moment, you turned in the cookie jar from the time Garl brought you that cookie jar. And it kind of got me. I kind of teared up a little bit. I was like,
I'm guessing that's in the second ending.
I believe so. So. It's before Garl comes back, you know. And so I liked Rashawn a lot. He was really fun and interesting, even if he kind of had a Batman utility belt thing going on where every time there was an unsolvable problem, he's like, I'll just use this potion.
Yeah. And then he just fucks off for a while.
Best was funny. Sarai was really full of surprises, and she has the biggest arc because in the last half of the game, she opens up because she can be honest, and you see a lot more of her character, and I enjoyed that a lot.
Did anybody else try to go back to the archives to find Rashawn?
No. Oh, I did go back through the archives when I went to Glacial Peak.
Yeah, and he's not there. He's just,
Yeah.
he just vanished.
No. I assume that there's going to be an expansion of DLC, and it is what Rashawn is fucked off doing during the last. Although I'll say this, Garl's like wanting to have this meal with everyone, and it ends up being a guest list of 12 because he invites like Moraine and the pirate crew and everyone. And Rashawn is there, but it's the puppet Rashawn because Rashawn has already left. So he's just sitting in the fucking floor dressed all fancy with no eyeballs, you know? And you're like, oh yeah, all your friends are really fucking here, Garl. Like,
Nice.
So yeah, I loved the hard sci-fi shift in the back half of the game. I know it's kind of played out, but I really enjoyed it.
That was my favorite part of the game. Is once it went hard sci-fi.
I
Also,
think
the Dweller of Woe. I liked that whole segment.
the first few hours are kind of slow rolled. It never really got boring, but it got close to it in the first like 5-6 hours.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But I greatly enjoyed the story and the characters. The only character that I really didn't like, I was like, I do not like this character. I wish they would go away. Was Yolanda,
Wow.
and she bought my enjoyment when the joke paid off near the end of the end. I was like, all right,
was pretty
fine.
great.
I guess I like all of the characters. Jeez.
That bit when they're supposed to all sign up to go to the Sea of Stars with the bureaucrats.
Yeah.
When Keenathan goes up.
Yes.
He does his whole, or my name is not Keenathan bit. And they said, no, just state your name and your title. And then he again says his name is Keenathan and he's the pirate mage or whatever. And the bureaucrats say, I guess we'll have to assume there's an error on our part.
Yeah.
And they never fucking explain that.
No.
And I just want to know what they're talking about.
Me too. There's so many moments. And a lot of this, there's a lot of ties into the messenger.
Yeah.
Like a lot. And
Right.
so I feel like some of them are maybe just me not remembering the messenger, maybe. but then other ones, it's hard to tell. It's really hard to piece together.
And it takes place so long before the messenger that it's hard to say, what is and isn't a connection. But
yeah.
So
I enjoyed it a great deal. And I guess his final thoughts on the whole game, and this is why I've been so interested to do the show with Saturn, because this, unless something untold happens between now and December, this is my game of the year, bar none. And it is already in the top of my favorite RPGs. Like, it's up there. I'm gonna do New Game Plus. I'm excited to see what comes next, and it could solidify or go higher, but I really, really enjoyed this game a lot. The gameplay, I enjoyed the story, I enjoyed the characters. It was great. I had a really awesome time with it. Very awesome time.
I would give it like a 7.5.
Well, you're fired.
Generally positive.
All right, new co-host.
So sad. You said it's so sad. Generally positive. I guess.
I did not dislike it. It was the game has so much charm. It has just a ludicrous amount of charm. And when we're talking about just the story, I would say overall I really enjoyed it. I liked the characters. I liked the arcs. I liked the narrative. My biggest complaint is the ending just kind of feels unfinished. And I'm obviously exaggerating my complaints about Garl. I think it's fine. Just really annoying. But even that being my least favorite character, I still thought he was fine. I think he's better written than a lot of JRPG characters.
Yeah.
And I do agree with you. I think it was on the last episode we talked about it, but it is just, there's no overt sexualization, and that's so refreshing and nice.
Yeah. They all feel like they get to be characters instead of a big pile of cliches, even though one of them is named Cliche.
Yes.
It's great.
Did you notice, Justin?
Oh, I did not notice. Did you know Squirtle is a squirrel turtle? Did you know that?
You blew my mind when you said that. I don't know why. It's like 3 years ago. I can't forget it.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I think Justin, not Sam.
Thanks.
No, I agree. Like, it's hands down my game of the year, and like this is a year when like a new Zelda game came out, right?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
And I'm at a point in my life where 100-hour game is not in consideration for my game of the year. Like, it's just I can't.
Starfield came out this year. Zelda came out this year. Like a Dragon Ishin came out this year. Like, this is some big stuff.
Yeah.
There's another Like a Dragon in a couple weeks.
Yep.
It's like, and it's up there in my top RPGs, and mainly because it's only about 30 hours. Like, it's that is long enough for a game these days. And maybe it's just because I'm old and don't have time, right? But like, that's long enough for a game to do its thing and get time in it and move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, absolutely, it's in my candidate for game of the year, unless something weird ass happens, like maybe Mario Wonder blows my socks off. I don't know.
Maybe.
I will say, despite the fact that it's fairly compact at 30 hours, it still felt like it was full. Like, at no point did it feel like it was a light game.
And I think that's because we talked about it last episode. Like, there is no fat in this game. There's no fluff. It is just straight up momentum, end to end. You just go and stuff happens. And
unless you get stuck by the battle system, then the first half of the game drags on.
It felt like the pacing of the amount of plot points that occurred. Yeah. Like, JRPGs are usually like, all right, here's a plot point, and maybe in 4 or 5 hours we'll give you another one.
Right.
This game just felt like it was just rapid fire plot points, to the point that I was having a hard time keeping up with someone because just so much shit was occurring all of the time. I'm excited to play it again. And that's not a thing I say often.
That is pretty rare for you.
I'm excited to check out New Game Plus. I'm excited for what comes next, It's funny to me that, Saturn, you're the person that paid them to make the game out of the three of us.
Yes.
And you have the most... Even then, again, I don't know that your opinion overall is negative. I think
no, not at all. I would
just
still give it a
just
positive
mediocre
review.
for you. It was okay.
I mean, I took a picture of Saturn's name in the credits because I wasn't sure if he was going to see it. So
Yeah, I did. Yeah, well, no, I didn't stop for it. I fast forwarded because there's way too many names.
oh my God, there's so many names. Jesus
That's
Christ.
the longest
I didn't
credit
find that
sequence.
fast forward feature until like the second or third set of patrons.
Oh no! Did you
Oh,
find the ultra
no.
fast forward?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes it much better.
Yeah, it's a pretty long credit sequence. And
Yeah.
these have been 2 pretty long episodes.
Yes, holy crap, it's so late.
And if you like pretty long episodes, there's more of them, and they're on our Patreon.
You
know,
can make these episodes longer.
just click on the links and you get there and stuff.
Yeah,
where
see,
it is.
we
You know
cut
where
off
we
our
are.
Patreon names after a certain
Yeah, we don't flood you with thousands of names.
Yeah, we now anymore. We used to read them all at once,
Yeah.
and it was too much.
Only because like 20 of the names were like poopy dick fart or whatever.
It's true. We have a Patreon. Please give us money. Give us money, me, please. Money us now, please.
If you give us money, then Justin will revive Garl again.
I'll kill him and bring him back again with the little baby kid eye from a little child boy. We want to thank our following patrons for their kind donations, starting with Neil Hayes,
And my love for you is like a truck berserker.
Mr. Jiggyfly,
And Michael Winters.
Michael Castro.
Michael Burchell.
I went in alphabetical order for these ones. Matt Kovacs.
I couldn't tell. Mark Meredith.
Mark Bowler.
Reverse alphabetical order. And Luke Saracen Clark.
Are all the patrons we want to thank for their kind donations to the show. They moneyed me, please, and I thank them for that.
It's late enough that you're losing English, Justin.
Thank you so much for listening to the show, Guy. Thanks for being on like
Yeah,
4
thanks,
hours
Guy.
of podcast.
Right?
for
Hey,
us.
thanks for having me. It was great.
That was fun. And we'll do more of these. I think we'll keep doing this show. I think we like it, and we're gonna keep doing it. This is what is gonna happen.
Yeah, at this point, if you don't get to 500, people are going to be mad.
I know. Wouldn't it be awful if we just canceled it?
Can we please stop at $4.99?
No,
$4.99.
I'm not going to do it. Did you know Yoda died when he was 999 years old? Like, fuck off with that.
What if we skipped
$999.
from $4.99 to $5.01?
Oh, spoilers for Empire Strikes Back. Yoda died.
Do you know how many brains that would break?
Yeah. It'd be like them skipping Windows 9 straight to 10.
What's
We'd
really
have
gonna blow
people
their minds
messaging
is-
us constantly like, did I miss an episode?
Where's episode 500?
Gotcha. Bye.
We're still working on it.
Anyway, that's Sea of Stars. This was a long one. I knew it was going to be a long
right?
couple of ones. I didn't think it was going to be that
Yeah.
long, but here it is.
Here we are.
at the end of all things, Mr. Frodo.
But
Anyway, thanks so much for listening. We'll be back next week, and as always, let us
Let us
clean
clean
together.
together.